Starts with my own personal story of my infinite love of laundrettes, and it started actually when I was a drama student and I was presented with a play, My Beautiful Laundrette, which is also a great film, which I'm sure many of you have seen, of which one of the main themes is about how the community comes together to lift up this laundrette. And that really struck at the core of me. And then just moving on a little bit in my story, I happened to spend a lot of time in Brooklyn when Stan and I scaled one of our businesses. And there were lots of examples of laundrettes in Brooklyn, but there were two particularly great ones that stick in my mind because of how they brought people together. So you could go into the laundrette to do your washing, you could read a book, or there were people in one of them playing chess, and we were going at one time and there was a group of women that were all sort of knitting and doing things, and in this other laundrette there was even a sort of secret bar out back, through a door, and in the evenings there was a comedy on or some music. But they were really good examples of how these, a laundrette just brought in all these different walks of life together to commune. They're basically taking a utility, but morphed it and modernised it into a space that really meant something to the community. Stan and I moved to Frome 3.5 years ago. We moved into a small cottage that didn't have a washing machine. Don't ask. But actually, what it did do was forward up lots of questions around washing and drying. I'm sure you will be in a place where you got all your pants out drying and maybe a friend comes round. But also there are issues attached to that, moisture levels causing damp. Anyway, this took me off on a whole other learning journey around washing and what that meant to other people. It also triggered my memories of laundrettes, and particularly these ones in Brooklyn. And actually there are others that we have examples of around the world, and I heard about one today in Canada. And looked around at all these empty spaces in Frome. Couple that with us losing our utilities, our useful services such as banks and citizens' advice and other useful services that we're losing as communities. So we've got empty spaces, we're losing useful services. So it feels like, and it seems like, that now is the time that we start investigating and looking at and actually daring to open up a community laundrette. Thankfully, there's a whole other bunch of people that are also thinking on the same lines as me, and we're all now working as a crew with Edventure. And thank you so much for turning up, because I think that means you believe that too.
Hello. So, what brought me to the start, of course, was the community aspect of it. For me and my partner, we are actually working on something similar in the future. Community is really important to us, sharing our experiences. We teach yoga and martial arts, and we just felt that it was missing in the communities that we were in. And when I heard about the laundrette, it's just an amazing opportunity to have that community space with something that's such a necessity. When me and my partner moved here, we had a really small space. We've got a washing machine, but we didn't have anywhere to dry our clothes or anything like that. So we do spend a lot of time in our laundrette. So the two together is just a fabulous match, which that's what called it.
On my side, I've been, since around COVID time, I've been working remotely. I moved to Frome 3 years ago, and basically felt like I was really missing sort of that connection to team. And it was a year, I didn't really know quite how I was going to access that, given I was spending a lot of time alone. So my girlfriend Jim introduced me to this opportunity, and I was like, this sounds perfect, because one is about connecting with people from different walks of life, working on a common common project, which sounds like it's actually going to really be exciting and interesting. But also I'm going to learn process so that maybe I can build my own social enterprise in the future as well. But also I'm sharing a house now with 6 people, sometimes 7. So there's a lot of laundry going on, and I never fully relate to this whole issue about damp. So it's a concern, and just also the cost of living. So that like energy bills are just going up and up and up over this period of time. So it just makes a lot of sense to kind of think about what's a more ecological way to reduce cost. If everyone has washing machines at home, that's fine, but the cost of running them, and then just there can be some smart ways that we can benefit from having shared resources like a vodka.
Hello again. The reason I joined the startup was I took voluntary redundancy then, very big, having had some very big sort of equal side of sort of community in my work. But I lived in Frome, I've lived in Frome for 13 years, but I was just right after Frome to go to work. And it struck me when I sort of semi-retired, I'm still sort of semi-retired, that I actually hadn't really built that bigger community, having lived it for quite a long time. And I looked at this idea and I thought, well, I can retread. But actually, when you think about it a bit more deeply, you think, actually, that's a really good idea. People always need to do laundry, they always need to do their washing. And if you can add things to that and bring a bigger sense of community to Frome, I think that's a fantastic idea. So I wanted to be involved. And also for me, it just meant meeting a whole different group of people, bringing some skills I've got to the workshop, and just having fun. I think that was what I was looking for. I think I was looking at it with a very wet way down, so I took out. Thank you.
So now that you've heard a bit about why we've come and some stories as well, we'd just like to invite you to ask any questions that you may have for the team or Chloe.
Seems to me like lots of third spaces are, there's something else first and also a third space, like laundrette, for example. But I'd like to know, like, these other community laundrettes, were they laundrettes first, but then became third spaces? Because I find it quite interesting here, starting from scratch, is it also being a laundrette actually the best model for also being a third space?
To kick off with, I think I can give you a live answer of your first question, which is, are there any that have just set up as a community laundrette? Well, I'm very lucky to be working with one of the founders, and that was specifically set up as a community laundrette, as a third space. And it very much done in this way, with the community, for the community. And actually, we've had an offer of them to sort of ask to go up and meet the people that the team, as well as meet the people that frequent there. So that's an example of one that was specifically set up as a community laundrette. So there are other examples. There's the one that I do know the name of in Liverpool is Kitty's Laundrette, and they very much, I don't actually know the answer to that, of whether it started out as a laundrette or as a cafe. I will look into it, but I can tell you that it is a thriving community laundrette, and they very much focus on arts-based activities. And they're another organisation that we are in touch with. But other ones that we've come across around the world, See and Reap, Odd Socks, that was another example, if anyone's ever been to that one. Live example of a community laundrette. Can't answer with what it started out as. What I can answer is the part of this laundrette aspect is actually utilised is used as a laundrette, and that appears to be the piece that brings in the different people from the community, from all walks of life. Does that go some way to answer?
Yeah, that's my question. Yeah, thanks.
So there's a certain stigma around laundrettes. There's a sort of like a connotation that's based on a socio-economic need or necessity, and that's quite a difficult thing to get over. If you're going to engage people through, how are you actually going to be getting past that messaging? Is it going to be around this idea that it's a third space, or around its environmental impacts? How are you going to sort of make this a bit more fizzy. That's a bit of a word we have in Edventure. Like that's exciting to people that sort of gets past that stigma that's attached to the concept of a laundrette.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And actually, one of the reasons why we kicked off with the stories, people's personal stories of laundrettes, is because the number of people that, since I've been, and I have been talking about this for a good few years, lots of people have stories about laundrettes, and there's a lot of nostalgia. That's good nostalgia, whether it be their own experience, or the film, or the theatre piece. There's something about laundrettes that just trigger a nice memory or feel, a fizz, if you will, around laundrettes. When I was also first talking about the idea of a laundrette, it actually very much came from an eco point of view. That was another line of inquiry that's still live. It was actually, I used to call it an eco laundrette, and it was a friend of mine that said, you need to drop eco side of it, because anyone that's doing anything in this day and age, that is a given, right? So I've stopped calling that, but there is a whole piece, obviously, around people you think they've all got washing machines. That's terrible for the environment. And actually looking into communal washing, what types of detergents used, how that energy is used, working with a fantastic social architect that's been looking into how you can use the heat from these machines to heat other buildings. That we've only scratched the eye. This is just like top line inquiries. We haven't even delved deeper into this.
And this is day 2 of the project, so there's still some research to be done. Yeah.
So I think that, I touched on nostalgia. I've touched on a need for us to look at how can we be more conscious within our washing and our use of energy. But that's just me, and I would like some other people, not just me, but we're doing this together, so I'd like some others from our crew to chip in. I'm a piece of welfare I really enjoy it. And nostalgia is good. And I'm feeling peace out. Is to get there and then chat to someone from a community about to get book at the school. We were all there talking about the war. I actually, I was living in quite a cold house at the time. And it's nice to get this now cheap pushing up to us. You could hold it up, go to the university, that stuff. But I was thinking actually it's quite a nice, we talk about spaces to go. There aren't any places to go, sitting, you don't necessarily, obviously it's nice to the cafe there, but you might not want to buy, you might want to go and just be there. It gives you a reason for kind of going there, or just sitting in that space and meeting people, listening to conversations, which are always interesting, if you're not part of the conversations, something it's called something interesting, little spin-offs actually.
Yeah, so Rory was interested in this laundrette concept. Also, I spent a lot of time in the laundrette every Saturday pretty much until dress. Had a takeaway bath, and we didn't have a washing machine kind of on the front. So that was my job every Saturday, was to wash clothes. When it's washing, I get to sit down and have a little break, read a magazine, and when sort of like what Daisy said, it's like walk and sort of easy.
Yeah.
Also, to out, I currently use this laundrette, washing machine, broke, but also there was more to it than that, and I appreciate that. There is perhaps a stigma, but all I was aware of, I'm also not very aware of things like that. And actually, there just what's really nice is it's a space that is totally neutral and is totally accepting. And so, that's what I like about it. I bumped into the lady from the laundrette the other day. She said to Maria, and she's hopefully going to come in and help us out with it. But it was, it was just nice to see her. We got a washing machine fixed. I haven't seen it for a few weeks. But it's it's just a really nice group of people. They were in a really great with my kids, and it didn't feel like a space. It's a really quirky group. It's all just such a weird little group of people that are there. Myself included, they're using that space. Everyone's just now kind of showing the little snippets of their life, and it's such a wonderful constant. It doesn't feel like it's like a nostalgia. I remember going as a student, I remember going as a kid, but even now, it still feels like it's a present need and a present use which is really exciting, I think.
You're used to keep it.
Eyes one, yeah. So great, right? I think it's quite easy for people to show some nostalgia too much when they're genuinely for this, and then the community aspect of it is something that just develops naturally in the past. Whereas this is taking all the best bits of it and adding more layers on top of it. Of going, right, you've got all these people in community from different backgrounds. What can you actually give them that isn't just sewing into the washing? So it's harnessing all the best bits of that nostalgia in the community that came from, our past and whatever, and just added layers of comfort on top of something that already works and that there is a use for.
Yeah, excited about something. Speaking at the young shoot, I'm 2 years in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and so personally, that third space of the pub isn't there with someone like me. I live in a council flat. I've got down putting walls, so there is a barrier to accessing connection within young people. You've got social media and stuff that we can activate with each other on, but it's not connecting. It's not that genuine experience that we've all had. Actually, really beating them up. So I think Frome is a great place to make something like that happen. There's lots of people in the same boat as me.
Does that help?
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to feel like to me. I'm really excited to hear your story, because that's why I was just wondering how to make this a place where a young person would actually want to go, and you just give them the perfect explanation as to why that would really work, because there aren't many spaces that don't involve alcohol and stuff. It'll just be a space that did. I'm a real convert for laundrettes, and mixing a whole host of people, because it is an accessible space. That's the key thing. I think that's what designs about this project.
As long as it's not behind that able.
Yeah, and actually speak to a real human being instead of being on your phone. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I've got one about, I'm really glad to hear you talk about the kind of ecological thing, even though I can totally understand you don't want to kind of foreground it, because I think for me that's the kind of opportunity there, right? Because we have got used to being very individual, all our white goods in our thing, and that is going to be an effort to break through that, right? Because of ease and, how do you schlep your laundry down to the town centre? It's hard. Do you get an electric cargo bike? All those things are actually really challenging, and there has to be a really good reason, and it's lovely hearing them, to break through that very individual protective barrier that we've got used to in our houses, I think. I think a lot of us have got used to those kinds of things, and 30 years ago we didn't. So that's really exciting. I guess my question is, the reality of it, the thing about there are these spaces in Frome, and I hear all the time, oh no, there's no way they're going to release them, or there's no, they're too expensive to buy, the landlord is just waiting for a buyer. Have you got any inkling about how you might overcome that? Because it's a big space you're talking about, isn't it? Well, yes, I mean, we're only at the beginning of this. I'm calling it an inquiry at the moment. Yeah, but don't get me wrong, because we have a mission, and this is going to happen, but we are at the beginning of an inquiry. So we're just at the beginning. I can tell you what space I'd love to do it in. I won't. But yes, there's definitely going to be obstacles. But actually, I know there's quite a few of them, but that's part of the excitement, the challenge. And it's part of, this is a startup course. And any startup will have its big rocks and have its challenges, and this isn't an exception, it's just another one. And how we go about that will be how we choose to go about it as a group. And actually, I know that wanting to work with Edventure, I think Edventure's the perfect, what you do, what we do on part of this as well now, is exactly this. We navigate our way through these challenges, and we work with the community and other people to make it happen. So I don't have an answer. We're certainly looking into lots of different ways that there could be ways of overcoming it, but don't have an answer right now. As soon as we're live, if anyone out there has space, then please come forward.
Any more questions? Anybody pledging? Anybody think, we only have a few guests here. There's actually, what's so exciting for me is how large the team is for this one. So actually most of the audience are already quite on side because they've signed up for the next 22 weeks to join us. But Dawn, what brought you here today?
I'm always passionate about what Edventure does, and I love this idea. I think it's really quite exciting. And I was also at the beginning, I thought, that's an interesting concept. But as people are speaking, I don't really have very many of laundry. But I think about Rain Man, and he sets the laundry and watch things that are aroused. And I think that those are films where people really, really enjoy being in the laundry. But I also think that the exciting part is, as we were saying about bringing people in, is that there's going to be so many different people who wouldn't have crossed paths naturally. Yeah. And it's almost like you're not standing in a queue at the shopping, and at the till. You can't do anything. You can't go anywhere. So it's like a captivated audience as well, which is really
a reason.
yeah. So we think So maybe why I can't anyway. Yeah, but it's the other cool things.
It's just you're still in it. You can do courses.
Oh, yeah.
It could be like you didn't hire.
Yes, absolutely. And another part of my personal laundrette story was, as I alluded to, my background was theatre and music. And there used to be a wicked YouTube channel that was all about filming emerging musicians in laundrettes, different laundrettes. And, stylistically, that stuck with me. That's pretty cool. I mean, there's... And we could go down, we already have started all of the... all of the words and ways to describe. You can get fully into cycles and there's lots of play. There's lots of play in this area, and we've been talking about how it's really important for us in this day and age to keep playing, have some fun, because life can feel very heavy. So this space, hopefully it will, because we'll be, and it's also about transforming the high street, because as we know, the high streets are not going to be the same going into the future from what we've had in the past. And this is an opportunity to revive the town centres that are often kind of dying with some of the communities. People aren't shopping in town anymore, but what are they going to do in town? Are they going to be having experiences? Are they going to different things that we need to start thinking about? Not the Victorian high street that we've kind of latched onto and we're parking for. It's not going to happen. I think it's some of these intersections that are really the excitement in them. There's no reason why this laundrette could not be a place to house art. And culture is one of the things in our society that we're watching disappear. So, it's the intersections just...
So it's case I truly that there's empty bags frame could do with little bit.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And it's quite funny.
And there's little small stay on the off on it.
There's also, I think it was a few years ago they did research in Paris, and they worked out that 60% of the buildings are only used for one time of the day.
Man.
So if it's open all day, it's closed at night, and it's an empty building at night. And then the other way around, there's some buildings only open at night and are closed during the day. So it's also about seeing if there's an opportunity to use premises that are, because they would save on everything, isn't it?
Is that in order to truly serve the community of food? You'd always need to be looking at a space that didn't promote the steak. A friend of mine from Australia, he wasn't a big Jew, and he was like, I find it mental that in the UK you don't have, like, I want to go somewhere play chats, find out with you. I was like, let's go to a pub. I said, I do this somewhere. I'm like, and there's no space for that, but there's also diminishing places for older people who used to get put to the first office or whatever. There is the instrument sound involved. So, and come to jump sports that cut the bustards, the sound, because they're on people here, what's through. So if there can be a space that works and point of those spaces, it's great.
I've also there's the last post on this. So there's, I don't know, that we see there, not all people not eating.
So in the honest, there's some words, fences.
Huh? Yeah, it has to. That's true. They have to be a mixture.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to mention that, that I'm also involved in Loop across the Frome, and we've been looking at that issue around the fact that there's that the banks are leaving and trying to get a banking card into Frome or an alternative like hiking kiosk and a post office. So we've been working on that for the last year, trying to find a solution. It's not an easy solution, but you were talking about actually it being a community space where we'd imagine a financial hub where you'd get citizens advice in, you'd get a banking hub, and you'd have, sort of, like the credit unions. It's not the sexiest of models, but something like that. But in your space, might actually make it a bit more fun. It's a fun. It's a modern day community. Yeah, that houses all of the. Yeah. So, yeah, that's exactly how linear would be envisaged. I've got a kiosk solution, IT kiosk solution. There's lots and lots to be joined here, and that's another thing. There's lots of organisations that we know need the dots need to be joined. But as Doug said, we too, trust me, for someone like me, I'm really enjoying the process, and it's making me slow down, which is hard. I'm going against myself because I automatically can. But it's really good the way that Edventure has structured this startup course specifically to take the time over these points and consider everything and everyone. But again, that's another ask. If you're involved in an organisation or someone that is that you think this could be useful, please put it on the feedback to us, because in time we do want to chat to everyone.
So I don't know if you've already talked about it. Have you set up as a CIC or a charity? Have you talked about business rates and how to avoid them?
So we to the course, I've been holding off on stepping this up. I'm not asked to make this decision as a group, because also as a startup also gives us an opportunity to look at the different ways that companies can be set up. So that's a little module for us. We will decide that together. I assume something like CIC is where we go. We talked about business rates as such, but yes, as long as you're a charity, is the end, then essentially business rate. But you can't win a CIC.
Bit more grey area.
Yeah.
You're a charity.
The council can give you up to 80%, depends upon the council. And if you find a landlord who's got an empty shop who's paying rates, they're often very keen to have somebody in there who keeps it warm. And Climate Emergency Centre's website, there's now about 21 climate emergency centres around the country, which is basically using that trick of setting up as a charity, finding a landlord who's got a shop that's empty. You keep it warm, you pay maybe it's 20% rent rates, but no rent. And that's, nowadays it's harder to squat, which is what most community centres were based on. That's certainly a way around avoiding rental rates.
We are lucky that there's a friend of the project that is a specialist in meanwhile use. So they will be joining to have a conversation to advise us on that. So.
Are you talking about this because you've got experiences? Are you talking about
Yes, I used to run a big squatty community centre in Bristol called Coulton Arts, which was 4.5 years, self-funded.
Were you doing it in Frome as well then?
No, Green Council for that stuff. But it's a really, really powerful way of doing it, as I'm sure you will know. And if you just create a vacuum, people will come in and fill it.
Excellent.
I've got one thing to say, because I felt very embarrassed I'm not remembering the name of the community laundrette in the last one that they were working with, and Fire Abbott. There it is. They're called Lucy's Laundry. It's Lucy's Laundrette and Lucy's Laundry. And it's definitely worth it if you want them. Well, go and have a look at those two as well.
So, yeah, thank you very much. And watch this space. More to follow. And I think it's time for soup.
Thanks for the unbelievable.